What the?
You are watching the number one podcast in the whole entire youth wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
And together we are
Rope Break.
And welcome to another episode of the best show in the WWE NXT UK. This episode had a lot of new storylines, a lot of things that we are seeing that the road for maybe a takeover for what it is the NXT UK brand is going to happen hopefully soon, but we see a lot of development. We didn't see the champions, we didn't see the main guys, but regardless of that, it was a pretty good episode. How are we doing, Paul?
Good. And yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, it wasn't the most exciting episode we saw. Still some good action. Like you said, it was more just kind of instead of the big blow-offs, the big exciting matches, this was the beginning, kind of planting the seeds for that stuff. I think next week is going to be a loaded show. So this week was kind of a down week, but it was still a very solid episode. Yeah,
and we always mention it's only an hour, so that's why it's easy to comprehend, easy to assimilate, it's easy to just digest kind of episodes like this. Thank you so very much for all the subscriptions that you give us, for all the love, viewership, everything that you do for this show. You and Paul and I are so excited that we see the growth and we love it, and we're gonna keep delivering for you guys. Paul, tell me a little bit about this situation that happened on AEW Beach Break. Kenta shows up.
Yeah, this is, like I said, this has the wrestling world buzzing. It's okay, Impact and AEW, okay, yeah, pretty good relationship. And, but a lot of AEW stars were going over to New Japan the past couple years. Now we see a full-fledged, confirmed working relationship between New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW. Kenta came, he wants Jon Moxley. We're going to see next week Kenny Omega and Kenta versus, former rivals Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. So, I mean, that should be a very good match. And, the most exciting thing about this is just all the possibilities. From New Japan guys coming over, whether it's, Tanahashi or Jay White, whoever, Kazuchika Okada. Maybe we'll see Omega Okada 4. Who knows?
Yes, exactly. Finally, supposedly very quick family. New Japan was hesitant about signing a deal with AEW because they thought there was going to be an overnight thing, a one-hit wonder. But finally, they decided they realized that to get Moxley, they had to go through AEW, and they saw that they're not an overnight thing. Boom, they have a working relationship, a contract, and Impact is in the middle of that. So what a great time, like you mentioned in your review, to be a wrestling fan. Don't forget to check that out. Jean-Paul Leck dissects everything about Beach Break. Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, also a great match. When it comes to Jean-Paul and myself, we did also, NXT, and the Rated R Superstar happened to visit the Yellow brand, and Edge, he said, hey, I never had the NXT Championship, and, he's going to be watching this match that is going to be confirmed for NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day on Valentine's Day, by the way. He's going to be watching that championship match. It's going to be a great match. Paul already mentioned this. He said, hey, this should be the main feud. I want to see it. And Karrion Kross maybe against Santos Escobar. Triple threat match with the girls, Io Shirai, Toni Storm, Mercedes Martinez. Great stuff. It's going to be a pretty loaded show, so please don't forget to check that out. So now let's focus into our show, NXT UK. This opens up with a girls match, women's match. Xia Brookside against Nina Samuels. This was just pretty much, the rivalry that they're having. Xia Brookside said, hey, you drag my name into the mud. I'm one revenge. I want you, and I want to prove you that I'm not the girl that you say I am, that I'm not only worth to just carry your bags. Was she able to do it, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, she carried the bag, but not with her hands, kind of with her face at the end of this thing. But, I mean, this was all right. Xia Brookside, to me, the way they use her and kind of her position on the card, I feel she's an underdog, in the women's division, obviously, but, in the mid-card, not an underdog, kind of in the main event. And, she doesn't really get too many meaningful wins. She'll win here and there. And, Nina Samuels, she kind of almost reminds me of, a Jinny 2.0. I know they were kind of tagging the other week and stuff, so I mean maybe that's why. But she kind of feels lost to me, almost okay, Jinny is the main event version, and then this is the mid card version. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong. Get some more character development for these two, and I mean, it has to start somewhere. But I mean, this match was all right. I think Xia Brookside, has a lot of upside, and she can be, one a main eventer in the future and stuff. But I was really hoping, and we would have saw maybe Meiko Satomura come in here. I knew Samuels was going to win this thing, and I thought, okay, maybe she'll beat her down afterwards, really just kind of kick her ass. The refs will be oh, stop, but they're not going to, grab a woman and, anything like that. And then that's would have been good for Meiko. But we're going to see her next week. and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But
Yes,
I mean,
like-
this match was okay. I wasn't, I didn't hate it. Both these women, I think, are talented. It's just their spot on the card, and they're not going to be challenging Keely.
Oh no, they don't
soon.
even have a spot for that. But the only thing that I was mentioned to Ward right there, she used one of the tiny purses, boom, to beat her up. Like she for that, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, the best part about this match is because she had two bags. She had one on the other side of the ring, and then the ref was looking at that, and then she used that little handbag, which is probably had like a brick or something in it because she knocked her out, and then able to make the pin. But I love when who was the announcer? Not Nigel, the other one. He said
the main announcer.
He said he's like, oh, maybe she's going to be changing her an outfit, and then Nigel goes, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that. Yes. So I was like, you gotta love Nigel.
Oh yeah, Nigel adds a lot of flavor to what what the calling of the match is. So like you said, Nina Samuels gets the win, and also Xia Brooks, she was really upset backstage as she goes to Six Scala, and he's like, I need a rematch right away. You need to take care of this right now. She goes, well, I'm a little busy right now. So you see, this feud is gonna keep happening. And Samuel said at the end, you only are worth to carry my bags. So I mean, it was, like you said, a pretty interesting start of what is gonna be NXT UK for us. And then we got a beautiful promo. You love this, I know that you were, because we actually got the real Butcher. It's not Butcher from AEW, although our friend Libel is gonna be upset. Sorry, Tom, but we got Shaw.
No, I think Tom knows the Blade, so that's different. I think.
Oh, okay, well if he does, yeah, okay. Yeah. But we got this guy Shaw. He's really awesome, and also he's gonna be part of the Noam Dar. Right there. Shaw Samuels is the brother of Nina Samuels. So no, they just don't say it, but they have the last name. As you can see, next week he's gonna be part of the Supernova sessions. But for this week, he had a promo saying that he's a butcher. So that was cool. He's for 18 years gonna be a wrestler, but also my side job is just being a butcher. Right here it is, so
slapping the pig heads, and he said to be a butcher, you got to be strong, because you see him lifting the big chunks of meat. Not anybody can. I mean, you
want to see them big chunks of meat right there.
Yeah, there you go. And then he's pretty much just saying that he went all around the world, from clubs to bars to whatever, and he just beat the shit out of anybody in all those places. And I like how he said, yeah, I did match with Joe Coffey. I didn't win, but he knew he was in the ring with Shaw Samuels. He's like, he knew he was in a fight, and he felt it the next day. So, I mean, this is intensity. This is how you get a guy over, when they cut a promo like this in front of the camera, and they just, spill their guts out. So that to me was good. And, I mean, this guy, he's not going to be NXT UK champion or anything anytime soon, but, I mean, this is good. It at least gets me invested in, the character a little more.
Oh, yeah, no, like you said, it's just, at least, you see that the guy wants to be good. He's just going to be to job. He's not going to just, be there to, just put guys over. No, he wants his own spot on NXT UK. So that's why he does it. And I mean, like you said, the intensity, hopefully a lot of wrestlers in the other brands that we covered will have the same intensity. And like you said, he didn't perform bad with Joe Coffey. So it's a good introduction for what it is for him. Now we're going to go to a guy that aligned himself with Ginny, and he's going to have a match against Josh Morrell, and that's Joseph Connors. So this was a pretty decent match. Like I said, it's just the main story about this was just to feature the alliance, this new partnership that Ginny and Joseph Connors has, saying that before that Joseph Connors was absolutely lost, didn't have where to go, he didn't believe in himself. So what did you think about it?
I mean, yeah, you pretty much said it. It's just, okay, this is just a match. Josh Morrell, he got his ass kicked against, Shaw Samuels, I believe, a week or so ago.
Yes.
And then, he was in this match, and it's going to be more of the same for our poor boy Josh Morrell. But like I said in the first match, you got to start somewhere, right? Jobber, Jeff Hardy was jobbing to Razor Ramon, and now, well, maybe don't look at Jeff Hardy now, but look at him a couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago, yeah. That would be
But I mean, this, this wasn't bad, and I like the alliance. I like how, he, like they said, he was a wrestler. He was good, but it's Ginny is really, she's being lay it into him, kick his ass, do this, do that. She's kind of, telling him and making him more aggressive, and that's, leading to victories for him, because they said, hey, maybe when Dave Mastiff punched him in the head, it knocked some sense into him.
Yes.
So, this was okay. My only complaint is it probably could have been a little shorter, because it was just a job match. It wasn't Josh Morrell is supposed to be an up-and-comer. It wasn't like him versus Jack Stars, who I feel they're trying, slowly starting to push, stuff like that. It could have been a little bit shorter for me, and we'll see where they go from this. I'm interested to see, because, Ginny, she lost the championship match. Now where does she go? I mean, to me, that would be a great feud for Mako, because it looks like they're going to continue Xia, Brookside, and Nina Samuel. So
Yeah, they're
this
going
would
to
be
continue that.
yeah.
Yes.
So this would be a good feud for her because Ginny obviously has some some stock. She's kind of higher up in the women's division. She just had a championship match. She's a clear heel, and Mako's going to be debuting obviously as a babyface. So that would be a good starting feud. I hope that's the direction they go.
Yep, and you know what? The thing that he did, he has a new finisher also, Connor. Like you said, a new hairstyle, completely new guy. And like you said, only thing you need is somebody that believes in you for you to change your whole self. So that was a really cool line, and he did like pretty much remember like what all like Rick Rude used to do.
Yeah,
like,
they say almost like a rude awakening. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty similar. Like it was like a neck breaker, kind of like turning, but not really swinging really fast. So that was good. You know, that was absolutely outstanding. You mentioned Meiko Satomura. She's gonna debut next week, so we got to see her. So we're excited. Even Ginny kind of promo saying like, "Oh my God!" Like the fact that she's here right now in our brand, like that, you know, raises the stocks really more, like 10 times even more. You know, now
and don't you? Yeah, and don't you love when they showed all the highlights and everything? It was just like there she was beating up like Jordan Grace, Tony Storm. You know, you just see her like against all the who's who of these women that were like you could say independent, but now signed to brands and stuff. Yeah. And now finally she's left Japan or wherever and is coming here. So this will be great. I'm excited to see her debut just because she is legitimate. She's not like one of those who's like. Even though I did say like, maybe I'm going crazy, but it's not like a Riho who I'm almost excited to see in AEW, but it's like, this is a legit, she's a badass.
Let's just say that like a kick from like this girl in compared to Riho, completely different story for the receiver, for the receiver end of this stuff. So now let's go with like talking about receiver ends and guys that like are completely like loose cannons. Our boy Ilya Dragunov right there, he comes out. Absolutely, like the music that he has, like the Russian style, absolutely great. I love it. Dragunov always like comes out in like already in a 10. The notch is already in like 10, 11. That's absolutely, I love it. Dragunov is for me, is the guy that like makes me watch NXT UK. So he's gonna have a match against, another guy that had a promo, and he said, hey, I'm legit too. Don't forget about me, Tyson T-Bone. So he actually had a match also last week, remember, and he didn't win, but like he was for another opportunity right here. So they have a pretty good match. But the main thing about this, and I know you're loving this because you got to see your boy, and that's Sam Gradwell. He was right there. He came out from the back, and he was just like taunting Dragunov the whole time. The whole time he's like, "Your bullshit." Is like, "Come on, handle your emotions. Like, what the hell are you doing? Don't let yourself get carried away from those. It's like you're shaming your family, your kid. Come on, Ilya, come on." So like T-Bone was dominating most of the match, but then once again, boom. The switch, kind of like the thing that they do with Alexa Bliss, and then Ilya became unhinged and absolutely beat her ass of like Tyson.
Yeah, and this was good, and we thought maybe okay, it's going to be Sam Gradwell and Dragunov right away. I like how they're prolonging it, kind of like they're building towards this, which I mean, not like this is a huge major feud or anything, but I'm excited for this matchup when it eventually happens. So I'm glad they didn't just rush into it, and this is good because it's just also very good character development for Dragunov in the sense where it's like he was unhinged last week against Jack Stars, and he's like, yeah, it was bullshit, I don't know, and you think, okay, maybe it's a one-time thing. Yeah, exactly. So maybe, and you think, oh, maybe it's a one-time thing, and then he'll be good. But then we see it this week, and it was maybe even more intense because he was able to beat down someone who's bigger than him, where Jack Stars was a little bit smaller. Yeah, and I do like Tyson T-Bone or Tyson DDP, like I called him on steroids, but I mean, he's in kind of the same boat where it's like now they're bringing in so many guys. It's like, where was Saxton Huxley? Remember when they had all the packages for him and we're like, oh, okay. And then we haven't seen him for a couple weeks. And then it's like, now you have Shaw Samuels. Now you have, Tyson T-Bone. So I would say don't sign any more people now. I think you have a good enough roster. Kind of just, use all these people that you have right now, But I mean, to go back to this match though, I thought it was good. I love Gradwell, and when Dragunov goes unhinged and snaps and stuff, I think it's good. But what do you think though? How he keeps winning? It doesn't like he hits the Moscow torpedo and all that stuff. Like he doesn't hit those moves anymore. He kind of just has like a submit arm bar almost, and then he's just like doing like axe kicks or like knees.
Elbows to the head. Yeah. I think that it's just they do it because again, you just said it, different character, so you have to do different moves. You're not the same Dragunov. Like that was the thing. Remember what the announcer asked Nigel McGuinness. He's like, after a match like that, do you feel the same? Do you come out like the same? No. He's like, I don't think so. and we can see it from like
and speaking of that, I would love to see then eventually this unhinged version of Dragunov where you could say he almost goes like, because we say NXT had some anime, we'll do a little anime reference here where he goes almost like Super Saiyan, and he gets like more powerful. It's like, is a match against Walter, maybe that'll be the deciding factor. So that was good. But I love this with Gradwell, at the end where he's like, oh, you throw a worse temper tantrum than my 3-year-old kid. What the hell's wrong with you and all this stuff? So, this was really good.
This is just going to be a match. We know this. Like, this is just like the beginning of the feud that they're going to have. So this is going to turn out in maybe like 2 weeks from now. We're going to see a match between the two. And then he's going to be the crap out of like Gradwell. Probably Gradwell will dominate most of the match and he will say something that boom. I think it's the chop. The chop is what really makes him like turn because he remembers the chops from Walter. I think that's the deciding.
Yeah, that's actually good. I didn't actually like think of that. Like it's the chops from Walter. So you see, look at that. Yeah,
I'm not.
Wani knows this stuff.
I'm not as bad. Like I'm learning with Jean Paul. Like good stuff. So like I'm thinking it's gonna be amazing. So now we go to the ace, and that's not Tanahashi, but not just because they signed a contract with New Japan. No, because he joined Devlin, and he's like, hey. To Sid Scala, are you going to do your job this week? I've been texting you the whole time. I'm like, did you subscribe to Robert? He goes, yes, I did. But the only thing is, like, can I get an opponent? What's going on with this? So like, we're going to see, like, he was asking, like, Jack Stars. He was asking a lot of members from the Cruiserweight division for them to, like, even they want to have a match with him. So we'll see what happens in a little bit. But I want to go to our one of our guys, Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey. I like actually you got me into like the Gallus theme song.
So, I think in NXT UK everybody has legit music. Even Joseph Connors kind of has like a rock song. Gradwell's is good. I mean Gallus I love. Obviously Imperium. We wish that was our theme music. I mean this is just NXT UK. They give and Dragunov. They give these guys good music.
Exactly. Like they get to win because the music is actually a crucial part, a fundamental part of like what the wrestler is. The whole presentation.
Yeah, maybe NXT UK is like we'll pay the CFOs. It's okay.
We're
our guys.
Come to Europe. We'll pay him. Don't tell anybody. Shh. And like he goes against Danny Jones. Pretty good showing for this guy. I don't think we've seen him before, but like he did a pretty good match for the 3-4 minutes that he actually had some offense on Joe Coffey. Remember he had that submission hold and he was trying to get Coffey to submit. But then Kofi went into like the biggest like the baby face comeback, and of course he hit like when he pushes the guy to the turnbuckle, and then he did the best of the belts. Is that what it is, right? That's what the move is called.
Yes. And I agree. That's
clothesline,
Yeah, and that's the only thing. It's just there was a lot of job matches on this show, which is fine because if you want to harken back to the old days of like Mid-South and all those other old wrestling shows from the 80s and stuff, they didn't always have the big main event matches because those you had to sell them on the pay-per-view. So like sometimes you would see a show that was just all job matches, but we're not in that day and age anymore. But I mean this was a good showing for Joe Coffey. But the main thing it's like Danny Jones. It's like okay, thanks for coming. But it was really what happened afterwards.
He called out. Remember the line he mentions right there. He said, in NXT UK, is not you have to punch really, really hard to make sure that the other person doesn't get up. And then boom, all of a sudden he said, I cross paths with this guy called Rampage Brown. Boom, he comes back. He comes out and he said, you know what? Hey, you named the place and the time. And they're gonna they have a big stare down. So it's gonna be good.
And I'm excited for this. Yeah, I'm excited for this, and you said it perfectly. This has to be number one contender, and I love the line when Joe Coffey says, I'm the last man standing, referencing the match that he had with Dave Mastiff, which was a fantastic match. Like I said, still one of my favorite last man standings, and, this is going to be good. And obviously, the person who I want to win, and I think will, is Rampage Brown.
Yeah, Rampage Brown deserves like his shot at like Walter. We have to see the A Kid. We've seen Dragunov. We see like a lot of guys. We saw Coffey. We saw a lot of guys like had the opportunity. So it's going to be good. And I think that like you said, it's going to be it's going to be an interesting matchup just to see a guy that like has the same power because it's not going to be the same match as Dragunov. So we're going to see that. It's going to be interesting to see. Another big rivalry that we have, we love this, is this guys. We're going to see a street fight next week. Finally, they're going to put the feud, they're going to end it. Street fight.
The best friends versus Santana and no.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, it is two set of best friends versus the Hunt. And, I'm excited for this. Do you think this would be better than that match? The Santana and Ortiz and the best
maybe
friends.
intensity, they're not going to do it cinematic. They're not going to have it on the outside. So probably this will be more intense for me. The British style is always tends to be more like hurtful and also like impactful when it comes to like moves. That match with like Santana and Ortiz was fine, but they had their own elements. I think.
Yeah, and what did we say? That match like was a 9 out of 10 for us until the trunk opened and
and then Orange Cassidy. Yeah, and of course, maybe Eddie Dennis will do the same spot, and then boom.
But I mean, that's fine because heels win. Heels need to win every now and again. But we're not on that show. We're on this show, and I'm excited for this. And I do think the Hunt will win. I'm gonna keep picking them. I picked them in the 4-way. They lost, but don't worry, Hunt. I'm still on your side. I'm picking you here in this match.
Yeah, well, I mean, like they had a pretty good like video package that's showcasing the whole rivalry 9 weeks ago. They were best friends, like you said, and then Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews caused them the match for the tag team champions with Gallus, and now Eddie Dennis did the same thing in the Fatal 4-way for the number 1 contender. So that's going to be a great match, and it's going to be a great main event. Talking about the number 1 contenders that won, there you go, Pretty Deadly. They have a promo saying that it's cool that Gallus hold the championship for as long as they did. They elevate the division, but it is the time for these 2 guys. And like we mentioned in the last show, we said that the name of the finisher is Spill Milk. So, we're good. I mean, I like these guys. At least they look a little, to me, more believable than like Fandango and Tyler Breeze, just because at least they stick to their characters and they don't change gimmicks, Fashion Police and all of that like Fandango and Tyler Breeze did in the main roster. And I mean, in the main roster, when you go back to NXT, I mean, it takes a time for you to forget all the bullshit that you had to deal with.
It's definitely tainted. Yeah, like when you come back, I mean, the only one is Finn Balor, I feel, because he completely changed his character, as in the intensity. But Fandango, when they came down, they're still Fandango.
Yeah,
they didn't come down and cut a promo and be like, that was bullshit. We're back. We're gonna prove that we're legit. We're not just dancing in the tight leather pants and all this stuff. No, but but on these guys, I mean, I think it'll be a good match. They're slowly growing on me, but I don't see him beating Gallus.
Oh yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. So I think that's what's gonna be. That's the next show that we're gonna have for you guys. Of course, we will be covering all of that. So now let's go to the main event. And we said that the Ace was winning. Like he needed a person to fight with, and the person that responds his challenge is actually Dave Mastiff. So like he goes, whoa, bro. He's like, hey, you need to be under 205. You are actually under like 305.
Yeah, he's like, you wouldn't even make 305 live, which I'm not gonna lie. When Dave Mastiff came out, I'm like, that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, if I was a heel, I'd be like, are you even on 305 live? And then when Devlin said it, I was like, that's legit.
Oh yeah, like Jordan Devlin is pretty good on the mic. His whole presentation, whatever he had, that.
Well, he was trained by Finn Balor, so that don't surprise me at all.
The Prince did it, so we got to thank the Prince for like the personality that Jordan has. So he said, well, hey mate, I know you just warming up the belt for Trent 7, so let's have a match now.
That's his accent must be weird because that didn't, I think he meant Santos Escobar, but it did sound like Trent 7.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So like that he said that, and they have a match. And what do you think of this? I liked it. Not the main event that I was hoping to have on NXT UK, but I think despite of that, they gave us a pretty good match.
Well, I think they really don't have anybody because it's like there was who was it that Seth Rollins trains? Is it Carter?
Oh yeah, Ben Carter, right?
Yeah, Ben Carter. Yeah, we saw Ben Carter. We're not going to see A-Kid. We're not going to see Jack Stars because I mean, it seemed like Skid Row. No, Sid Scala. He was like, oh yeah, Jack Stars, blah blah blah, and Jack was kind of like, so it didn't seem like he wanted to do it. So we get this match, and this wasn't for the belt. At least I don't believe so because obviously Mastiff can't. He can't be on that brand. Yeah, so. But this was still a good match, and I think, like I said, they kind of ran through all the top contenders, and it's, we'll see where they go with this, but it's got to lead to, either unification of the belts, or maybe they're not going to do it. Maybe they're just going to, keep the one belt on the one brand and one belt on the other because they do have a lot of guys who are under the 205 weight class on NXT UK. So it's like, hey, let's have a belt for them as well. And also having another singles belt with as many men as they have on this roster isn't a bad thing. But
this very intriguing to see what they do with it.
Yeah, but this match was really good. I like how Devlin was able to hold his own. Mastiff still obviously looked powerful and was able to throw the much smaller guy around. But Devlin used his smarts and his speed speed, like you see here in this, where he was laying on the outside and he was like, oh my God, I'm done. And then Mastiff comes flying in with the cannonball. He rolls. Obviously, the gimmick barricade, it opened up and stuff. But I mean, still a really awesome spot. And, it's just stuff like that Devlin was able to, use throughout the match, to gain the advantage. And the only thing that I really want to say I don't like from this, but I mean, somebody had to win, somebody had to lose. I guess you want to keep the champ no matter what weight class and what, title looking strong, but it kind of hurts Mastiff a little bit, I thought, to lose here.
I think it hurts him, but at the same time, it's just because it's Mastiff. It's kind of like one of those guys that, like, they're huge. So, winning and losing, it's kind of.
Oh, yeah, he definitely still has his fans. Like we say it all the time. Sometimes people can lose, and it's not like, oh, now they're jobbed out, they look bullshit. Because obviously, if one thing went different, he would have won this match. But, it was still a very good match, though.
And, and it's his role. They massively kind of like help out to put other guys over. Like right now, he just did the job for like Jordan Devlin. Beautiful 450 splash for the win, so to say.
Yeah, because I guess he couldn't hit the devil inside on Mr. 305 plus.
He would have had the devil inside of him if he would have been able to live all of that, and then that devil wouldn't need to come out. But yeah, so like it was a good move, and the A's get
beautiful wrestler, and that's what I mean. And it's good because he's like, the only thing though is like doing those high moves as a heel. But like we said, there was no other thing to do to put the big man away, and that like it. I know what you're saying though about this match, like overall earlier when you said like for this being the main event, this didn't feel like a main event match in the sense that it was like the title wasn't on the line. There's no real feud. Mastiff was just the buddy of Trent Seven, who was like, oh, I know you're just holding that for Trent, and like like you had mentioned. So that like overall, I guess that's kind of why we were saying earlier on that this show was kind of just like a slower show. Not every show can be a home run, but this one at least got you, to third base.
Yeah, it was good, and like right there, we get to see, and this is gonna be like the thumbnail, so I'm already spoiling for every single one of you. Never bet against the Irish Ace. So,
well, technically, unless they, they will be seeing the thumbnail first. So.
Oh well, that's true. That's true. But like, at least I'm spoiling it for everybody that at least pays attention to that. You're right. You're absolutely right. But we get to see this guy. Jordan Devlin, at least, is one of like the main figures of NXT UK. If we don't see Walter,
definitely,
we don't see Kaylee J. At least we got to see a champion. We don't see Gallus. Boom, right there. So, like, it was a pretty good show. We'll see next week, maybe Piper Niven. Like I see, we're going to see Satomura debut, so that's going to be awesome.
Next week, I'm looking forward to those two things. The street fight will definitely be the main event, so we probably won't see Walter or anybody like that. But, hopefully maybe something from Rampage Brown, Joe Coffey, kind of hyping that up and everything. So I'm looking forward to NXT UK. I always am. And you say it each and every episode, and I, have to agree with you 100%. It's only an hour.
It's only an hour.
And that is fantastic compared to the 3-hour shows, 2-hour shows, and everything else we have to sit through. So,
but you know why we do it? Because of every single one of you. So please just do us a big favor.
They're the Nina Samuels to our. They're the Ginny to our Joseph Connors. Yes, they believe in us, so we.
That's why we do it. Exactly right. So do just. I should say not a big favor. It's a tiny favor. Just subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. We love you guys. Thank you again. There you go. That tiny, like that tiny of thing. And like I said, hit the bell for notifications. Tomorrow we'll see you with Smackdown. Not a bad show. Bianca Belair is going to be there. Edge is going to be there. Both winners of the Royal Rumble addressing their futures for what is going to be WrestleMania 37. So where else can they find us, Paul?
And you can also find us Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, right here, where you can see the beautiful thumbnails done by Juan, on the Original Rope Break, the #1 podcast.
Thank you, family. So tomorrow, SmackDown. We'll see you then. You and me have one more thing that is left to say.